Friends, DeFi is having a moment. Uniswap Labs web app and wallet connect you to the excitement. Swapping and bridging are simple, low cost, and lightning fast across 13 chains, including Base, Arbitrum, and Unichain, the new Layer 2 network designed for DeFi. Thanks to deep liquidity on Uniswap protocols, you get minimal price impact on every trade, now with even greater efficiency through Uniswap v4. Swap, send, on ramp, off ramp, and bridge into a bright future. Get started at uniswap.org.
So, Christina, I would love, just for our audience, tell us like your background prior, because it's quite impressive.
I wouldn't say it was impressive, but first of all, it's so brilliant to be here in Asia. There is so much energy and passion and excitement. We've spent a lot of time in Latin America over the last year, and it's matched or even surpassed here. So I started at Amazon in '99. I've always worked on tech brands that people really didn't understand, and they needed to be explained in detail to their user base. I've also been lucky enough to work at PayPal, which of course was changing payments and moving that forward. I was at Messenger and then also part of the Libra project, which hit a few roadblocks along the way with the regulators. And went to Robinhood, where it was all about democratizing finance and changing the way that people invested. And then about 2 years ago, a group of us got together and we started Lightspark, kind of finishing our unfinished business on Libra, and we're trying to really change payments and make them more open and fluid for the world today. So that's in a nutshell.
Great nutshell. So, when we spoke, I was just again, I was impressed. I know you're being very humble, but Amazon, PayPal, Robinhood, Facebook. I mean, you've done you've done big tech, you've done big brand, and I was sort of interested in hearing what you think the similarities and differences are working in this new technology, and how you have to think about that differently to build a brand in the crypto space.
Such a good question. I think the first thing that I would say is there are more similarities than differences, but I think maybe the behaviors of the people in the industry is a little bit different. So in technology, quite a lot of what you have to do is educate and build trust and build community. There's no point building a long-lasting brand if there isn't a utility and a little bit of consumer or user love, which we think is really important. And that applies to all tech brands, no matter what area they're working in. I think in crypto particularly, there has been over the past a sort of need or belief that you could make something orange and it would stand for a long-lasting brand. And I don't think that's the case at all. And so one of the recommendations that we think about is how do we educate, how do we help people understand what they're trying to do with the product, and more importantly, how do we build a community around it, and therefore, how do we engender trust? So similarities but differences, but I think it's the way in which the marketers have been, or maybe not even marketers, have been acting in this industry that have kind of have to change a little bit more.
I feel like I'm old enough to remember when Amazon first came out. It was a gray box, or a gray site with a single text box, and you could search for things and then order, and you were trusting that your credit card information was safe and your product would get there. At the time, there was a lot of competitors. People don't remember that. But there was a ton in the music business when you launched music, and the books business. And I think it became the power of the brand, right? Jeff and the team really did everything they could to say, this is what we're about, and we are going to sell the world's goods. So when I think about what a brand stands for, I'm interested in how you look at Lightspark and say, what does this brand stand for?
So Lightspark, we really genuinely believe that money needs to change and payments need to change. Candidly, all of us are using systems that were built in the 1970s. They're older than all of us right now. And so our mission is to enable money to move really freely. And to do that, we are really centered on educating, explaining why people should care about using Lightning as the base layer. So we built on Lightning because we think it is a great solution for people to send payments. But when we started working on it, it was very complicated and difficult for people to engage with. We've solved a lot of those problems, and we see huge advantages happening with people like Coinbase and Bitso, who are enabling their customers to send money using Lightning now. And we're really very happy about that and quite proud of it because we've solved that solution. But we really believe there's lots more to do, and we haven't even seen all of the opportunities that we can do.
Lightspark is also, it's a B2B company, but it's also a B2C company.
Yeah.
We in crypto get, I would say, attacked a lot for making things overly complicated. So how do you take a B2B2C company and make it easy enough to say to our B2B partners we do this, and our B2C partners, the general public, we do that? And how is that as a marketing challenge? Like, how does your brain take that apart?
We've segmented down how we think about it. We address both our payments providers, the companies that work with us, developers who are building on using Lightspark to build on Lightning and creating some amazing solutions that have really genuinely never been seen before. And then also we work with our partners to help them educate their customers about why using Lightspark makes payments more open, faster, cheaper, and also secure. And so we've created workbooks and guidance that we send out to people. We've worked really closely with some great partners like CoinDesk in Asia to explain that. And, I kind of think of it as a little bit like maybe in the future will be like a Visa. So it's something that's trusted. You don't necessarily have a direct consumer relationship with it because it's issued by a bank, your card. I don't think we're going to sponsor the Olympics anytime soon, but I do think we will be the trusted brand. Lightspark will enable payments to run on Lightning, and that will make payments cheaper for everybody.
So you run on Lightning, which runs on Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. I believe Bitcoin is the biggest brand in crypto.
Yeah.
But there's some amazing new brands coming up, whether you think of the Solanas or Aptoses or all of the different folks building. Do you see an opportunity in the future for Lightspark to branch out to work across other chains?
We're laser focused on Bitcoin right now. We think it's the most decentralized, most understood platform there is. We also think that there is an opportunity for people to do way more than they have done on it, and that's one of the things that we're trying to build. So we are very Bitcoin-centered for sure.
All right, so payments to me is one of the most fascinating areas of crypto because it's what needs disruption most. Mm-hmm. My partner and I got to Hong Kong, and the first thing we do is we're like, we need cash to take a taxi. We go to the airport. They basically hit us for a 10% fee to exchange money there, which we go down the street, and we then get 10% more dollars, right? So simply for the convenience of needing cash at a moment, we had to pay a pretty big fee for that. How long do you think it takes before these types of payment rails that sort of are able to extract that friction out of the market are usable for all of us so that I don't have to think about when I go to Hong Kong or I go to Thailand or I go to India that I have to now do all of this conversion in my head and really just be paying these taxes all along the way because I just don't know how to transfer money easily and simply in every location I'm at?
Such a good question. Hong Kong taxis are my favorite taxis in the world. I just love them. They're so cute and adorable. But I think one of the things that we really have thought hard about is how do we make money move more smoothly. And we shipped something earlier last year called UMO, which is Universal Money Addresses, which is the ability to send money just like an email. And that means that I could be $Christina at my bank, my wallet, so you could be $Sam. You and I can send money instantly to each other. There are about 300 million people who have access to UMA right now. But what's interesting is that could apply to sending money when you have to pay for a cab, or when you might want to pay somebody you've met here for a meal or split a tab. All of those things are able to be done with UMA right now. And I actually think it's happening. It's just not known. With UMA, we see the network effects really beginning to kick in now. And we're feeling that there is such a demand for a solution like that we're very excited about how people will begin to send money.
So UMA, the Universal Money Address, was the thing I got most excited when I read the information you sent. Because I do think that, the idea that all of us have a unique identifiers that can be direct bank accounts between each other. When I spent some time recently with the Stellar Meridian team, and we were talking about with folks from Africa and Latin America, where it's like they're used to paying 20 to 30% on their money in order to convert it. And the idea that to say to them, oh, well, I can just get your email address or I can get your UMA address, and I can send you money directly. It stays in the currency you've sent it, right? Which also potentially is a inflationary currency versus a deflationary one. So is that, I guess, are you building for first market worlds, or are you building for the third world markets that really need a reimagination of payment systems?
I think we're building for both, but initially we saw a huge uptick for UMA in places like Latin America because you genuinely send money on the Bitcoin rails, but you can send it in your local currency, and it's fast. Like right now, you can send money between the US and Mexico using UMA, and it's cheaper than anything else that exists. It's faster, it uses real-time payments, and that sort of reduces some of the issues with inflation on currency exchange. For people who live in the US and perhaps in other countries, you have good banking systems in place, but that's not the case for the rest of the world. And we know that people in different countries have been looking for solutions like this, but they haven't really been able to find one yet. So we're really excited about UMA because we actually think it will change people's lives in a way, which sounds sort of a little bit highfalutin. But genuinely, if you can send money faster than you used to be able to do, it will lift GDP. Eventually. And we've got great partners building on it, and it's very exciting to see.
So you mentioned earlier you worked at PayPal.
Mm-hmm.
PayPal, for me, did a very similar thing 20 plus years ago. Do you have that same sort of feeling in your gut as a brand marketer that says this could be the cusp of a real behavioral change to really free money up from a lot of these locked up systems and players?
Completely. And look, I was at PayPal when we acquired Venmo, and even now, today, you can't send money between Venmo and PayPal. That's still a closed system. And what we're building is something that's like one step above, which is that open access for everybody. I think as a marketer, you have to think about what's the balance between growth marketing and brand marketing, and how do those pieces come together, and when do you start to pull the levers on growth, or when do you start to really tell the story about what your brand has stood for. And that's a balance, and you have to find the right place to do that. But yeah, I'm super excited. I feel like I used to do at Amazon, where I spent 5 years telling everyone they were going to buy everything online, and people would just sort of laugh at me. And I kind of feel like that about what we're doing right now.
It's very exciting. Right before you, we just had Farouk here. Farouk is, I would say, one of the most consistent, he hates the term, but I'll say it, influencers in the crypto space, but also, walks the walk. Asia has a ton of people who are really trying to translate why crypto to a very vast market in a lot of different languages. As a brand builder, especially in crypto, how do you assess the influence that these KOLs and influencers have on this ecosystem? Is it a net negative? Is it a net positive? How do you work with them?
I think it's fascinating. I think it's probably a net positive. I think that you have to be really careful about the people that you put your brand with and how you talk about it. There has to be a level of trust that is delivered. And there also has to be a real belief from that influencer. I don't think you can slap a badge on any influencer and just say, talk about us. That's just not effective and not good marketing. What I do think is interesting, though, and we didn't expect this, is that UMA, as an example, influencers in the US who perhaps might be based in Brazil, they're using UMA to actually run their businesses. And that's something that we didn't expect. So you can imagine that possibly in the future we may well be tapping into that to start to tell that piece of the story.
When I had the pleasure of interviewing Idris Elba, who's helping in Ghana get the creator system on blockchain, because he says these people they're not being given bank accounts. They're not seen as valuable enough to give a bank account. So now he's seeing there's productions that are coming up where the DP and the cameraman and the sound guy are being paid all through direct payments on blockchain. And to me, it's the use case that you guys really are bringing out to the world, which is pretty fascinating.
We were in Nigeria just before the holidays, and we had an event, and we were expecting maybe 50 people to come, and there were about 120 people who turned up, and they all wanted to use UMA. And we have influencers now who are down in Nigeria who are sending money between themselves. Also, one anecdotal story I heard was that people who travel with big bags of cash are now beginning to switch to UMA because it's safer for them. Yeah. And we think that is something, again, which will be great if we can make it happen and make it be real.
we didn't talk about this, but I'm just interested in the security protocol
Yep.
for UMA. How does one, my name is public, so people could send something to me, but how do I make sure that my money stays my money?
I mean, we have the situation in place where we'll manage that, but also remember that we are providing the messaging system on the back of it, so that's why it's compliant with all the money transmittal rules that we have. And you will be working with your wallet or your bank, who will also have their situation in place.
Got it. Okay, running out of time. I want to ask you two more questions. The first is, you run on Lightning, but you're also creating your own layer 2 blockchain called Spark. Mm-hmm. So tell us what the idea behind Spark is. Why did you feel like you needed your own layer 2?
So Spark is open source. It's layer 2. It runs on Bitcoin and Lightning. It came about because we were being asked by our customers for solutions for self-custody and stablecoins. And so our engineers, who are brilliant, got to work and came up with a solution. It is built to be the most payment-centered layer 2 that exists. It's completely open sourced, as I said, and we're rolling it out. So in the next couple of weeks, if you want to go to spark.info, you'll be able to find out more. And we're really excited to see what developers will do on it, because it addresses some of the problems that Lightning had. And we all know that stablecoins are moving at scale right now, and this enables people to settle stablecoins and not have the liquidity issues that they did on Bitcoin and Lightning.
So Spark is specifically around payments and protocols on Bitcoin. I guess how much is stablecoin transaction built into that itself?
People can use it to drive their stablecoin growth, and it's just rolling out right now. We announced it just before the end of last year, and we're super excited to see what people do. The team is really centered on bringing on developers and encouraging them to start to try to do new things, and we're very excited to see what happens.
All right, so just to sort of bring it full circle, again, you worked at Amazon, at PayPal, at Robinhood, at Facebook, now you're at Lightspark. You are building, hopefully, the next great financial company in crypto, next great financial company, period. What learnings can you give those in the audience who might be starting brands from scratch today? From all of that experience, to say, how would you go about building a crypto-native brand if you were starting today?
Such a brilliant question, and it's so great to see so many people here. I think that understanding who your audience is and being true to that audience and not making it orange is probably a very good early direction. I also think that if you can balance the levers that we all have and be omnichannel, you also see better results. It's not enough just to do growth marketing. You have to actually explain and have a true narrative that enables people to understand what your brand is standing for and understand how they can be part of it and how they can build with it. This community, the crypto community, is one of the best communities for builders, I think. And with that comes innovation, and I think we see some of that being reflected in marketing right now. And for us, we're like a tiny percentage of our journey so far, so we're really just beginning, but we want to do it with the community, and I think that's something that I keep true to myself all the time. Like, what does it mean for the people who we want to use our products and services?
You mentioned to me when we first spoke, which has still stayed in my mind since that conversation, you said, what are you solving for humans?
Yeah.
Because a lot of people seem to invent problems to then create solutions for them, but it sounds like your core is, there is a need that people have, and if you can really just get to that layer and really make an easier experience for them, that's how you win. Is that correct?
I think so. And I think that as a brand, if you stay true to that inner truth and you don't just sort of throw word soup out there of language or visuals that don't mean anything and don't demonstrate what you're doing, you're going to win. And that's one of the greatest things that we all want to do as marketeers. It's to win and to make sure that your company really does become a long-lasting brand. And that's what we're focused on at Lightspark. We want to make money move differently, and we really want to win. And we want to do it with everyone here.
Thank you, Christina. Thank you, audience. We have another great session coming up right after this.
Thank you. Such a treat.
Want market-moving insights at your fingertips? Download the CoinDesk app for news, prices, videos, and events on the go.